Hello. Yes, hello everybody. How you guys doing? Welcome to today's show. From wherever you are, I want to welcome you. I want to hope that everything is okay with you, that life is treating you well. Please quickly. Um, oh no, no, no. This is not what we're talking about today. Don't mind what's showing on the on the news update. But wherever you are, thank you for tuning in. And please go ahead and click the notification button if you have not done that, so that and also subscribe if you have not subscribed. A lot of you are saying that you do not receive our notification. I can tell you that YouTube is playing some games because of the kind of station that we are and the kind of things that we talk about. And some people have also been going around and they've been up to some mischief with our account with YouTube. They're using lawyers in America to do all kinds of things, but we've also contacted our lawyer, and not so long from now, we'll be giving you guys the full gist of what is happening. It's going to be an interesting thing, and a lot of people on our side are getting ready. A lot of journalists, a lot of online media people are getting ready for us to deal with that issue, because you can't just get up and just think that you can mess people up. We work hard to do what we do. We do our best to live a good life and a straight, decent life. If you decide to mess up your life and you make yourself popular, it is your doing, it is your making. If you become news, we will carry you as news. Okay? We don't make the news. Sometimes I make the news and people carry me. So if you make the news and we carry you, live with it, man. Just live with it. Today we're gonna have calling later in the program because this is a very, very important topic. Today I'm gonna be talking about paternity DNA testing. And we're going to talk about this against the background of what happened in Nigeria. If you guys are following the news, a young man murdered the wife and himself. I don't know whether I wasn't too like, the story was just so appalling to me. When it was sent to me, I was just so infuriated. It had to be even deleted again. But you can go and read up the story. I'm not talking about it for the sensationalism, so I don't have all the facts of how it happened, when it happened, and all of that. But all I know is that people are dead over the issue of paternity. Who owns the children? Who is responsible for the children? Um, I found out, according to the story, this young man found out that the child that they have is not really theirs, and that started a huge problem. Anyways, um, why these people? Why are they doing this to our internet? It's so funny, guys. You're gonna give me 1 second. I need to switch over to another system. This is what these guys have been doing. That's just what has been happening. This is where we find ourselves, and so just give us give us a little yeah. It's crazy. This is what we're dealing with now. Every time we come live, something happens to our internet. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna switch over to another system and see whether we can get the internet to be steady, because this is a very, very important issue that I want to talk about. So I'm gonna go. Give me just like 1 minute, and I'll get back to you. I'm gonna switch systems. Just stay on, please. Yeah, so there you go. That's the life of an activist. They're pursuing you from all over the place. But you can't stop the truth. Okay, we go here, they follow us, they try to do something, we switch over to another system, they try to do another thing. But you know what? As they say, we must continue. I think this is a better connection now. Okay. Anyway, um, uh, let's go on. So I'm going to be speaking against the background of what happened. What happened with a young man that had to kill the wife and kill himself over issues of who owns the child. They did a paternity test and they discovered that the child was not his. You already know that there is nothing that justifies you killing another human being. Nothing in this world would justify that. Except, of course, when you are under threat, when your life is under threat, when you're doing it in self defense. That is what can be pardonable. But that you kill another human being because of an issue, or you take your own life, you cannot even take your own life. Do you know that the government sues you for committing suicide because you don't have a right to take your own life? Yes. When the government sees that you are a danger to yourself, that you have the capability, you have the ability to harm yourself, the government will do everything to stop you from doing so. Why? Because when you do so, it actually affects other people. So that's why they won't let you do that. But let me come back to why I want to talk about this paternity test. It doesn't, honestly speaking, the way I see life, if you see life the way I see life, you will just be grateful for your life. Sometimes I think that the action that we take is based on the fact that we are selfish, we are proud, we are arrogant, and we actually arrogate to ourselves powers that we don't have. You think that you know so much, almost better than God. When you were growing up, I don't know if you were an angel. I wasn't an angel. I lived a reckless kind of life. I did what my mates did. That's what I'm trying to say. I was a guy, like when you're a guy, you do a lot of things. You had girlfriends, you bragged with girlfriends that you had, you know what I mean? And let me just say that you did a lot of things that people of your age did. You made mistakes. And these mistakes that you made resulted in a lot of things that you can't undo. Some of the mistakes that you made, some of the actions that you took resulted in children, okay? And these children are not mistakes, by the way, but it was not at a time that you planned for the children to come into this world. Some of these children are listening to us now. Some of the children who have come out of this kind of situation are listening to this program right now. Some of them are your friends. Some of them are your bosses. Some of them are your husband. Some of them are your boyfriend right now. Some of them are the governors, the lawyers, the doctors, the taxi driver, the cook. Some of the people that came out of these unplanned relationships. So they've gone to become great people in life. Like I said, some of them are actually your father, but you did not know. So why would you kill yourself because things are not as perfect as you wanted it to be? Are you God? So you think you even know? Who told you that you know? Okay, let me give you gist. Let me make you understand that when we're growing up and you when we're growing up and you had relationships, you know how you used to sometimes you brag. You say, that girl na my girl, oh, I don't go out with her. I say, I lie. You know, fit. That girl is hard to get. I'm telling you. You say, I lie. Fit. Like a challenge, oh, because they challenge you, you go and toast the girl, and you be coming to, like, okay, girls, let me tell you, that's what used to happen. Sometimes we toasted you because we had to prove something to our friends. Because we used to, every time we toast you, we go back to our friends and we give situation report. She don't agree. Oh boy, the girl never agree. Oh, try now. Buy her flower. No, but the girl no like flower. Take her out now. Write her love letter. Sometimes the letters that you received was actually composed by a committee of friends. You didn't know that? Sometimes the letter was written. We found a person who could write English very well. In your circle of friends, people were experts in different things. So the person who was expert in girls and dating was the advisor, was the consultant. I don't want to tell you the one that I was. Okay. All things are passed away. So let us continue. So some of those letters were projects. Sometimes you trying to toast you was a project. Yes, we used all kinds of things. We laid siege. We did espionage. We came to your house. We did all manner of things. We followed you, stalking, all kinds of things. We made something. Talking about this, it's so interesting. Sometimes we fought some people, went and attacked some people that we saw them talking to you. Maybe they were just asking you for direction. We went and attacked them and said, stay away from my girl. Meanwhile, we've not even talked to you at all. So the point I'm trying to make on a serious note is that unless you were a saint, sometimes the girl that you went out with and you did all the things that we can't talk about now on TV, that girl did the same thing with another person. And another person did that with another person. And that was just foolishness of youth. And you did all that. You didn't even know what you were doing. Then, all of you were living in the same obe, the same area. You were area boys. So, suddenly, one of the girls becomes pregnant. You don't know whether it was you. So, may I inform you, my dear Mr. Know-All, that you may actually have some children out there that are your children and you don't know, and you're there making mouths, and you're there taking somebody to court, and you're there even mounting the pulpit and saying some things. But just to let you know that he whose sins have been forgiven, they have been forgiven. Nobody can hold it against you. But I just want to let you know so that it will help you with the way you conduct your life, with the way you make some claims, with the way you look at people. Because a lot of us are easy to condemn somebody. You're easy to condemn a single mother who is left with a child that she had out of wedlock. That child has utterly changed the course of her life. Some of them had a wonderful future. They were the most beautiful girl in the neighborhood. They were the most brilliant. They were the toast of all the boys. But because of that child, everything changed. They dropped out of school. Their parents kicked them out. Do you know what they went through? Suddenly, a girl who was depending on her parents, a child, is now a mother taking care of another child. So it's like a child taking care of another child. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying all this to make us understand that before you go and kill somebody because you discovered that the child you love so much is not your child, let me warn you, How about you finish doing that and you discover tomorrow that the test kit was faulty and the test result was wrong? It has happened so many times, and then you would have killed somebody for nothing. There are so many things. How about people that are living in this world right now that were adopted? How about mothers who have gone home from the hospital with a child that they thought was theirs and it is not theirs? So many permutations, so many possibilities. What about the children who were taken out of Biafra land during the war and they were spread all over the world? They continue with their life. Some of them don't know their parents. Some of them don't know their fathers, don't know their mothers. What about the effects of slavery? Our parents, our great-grandparents, that we sold some of them into slavery. Some of them were sold into slavery, not by their choice. How about all of those life? See, what I'm trying to say is life is too complicated that you need to just stay in your own small lane and make the most out of it. You're not as perfect as you think you are. You're not as wise as you think you are. You don't know as much as you think you know. Let me reveal a secret for you. Our generation now, we are more open. The generation of our parents, we are not that open. The generation of their own fathers, your grandfathers, their own was even worse. And the generation of our fathers, that own was it was worse. Those times, my grandfather had 3 wives. Once a man has more than 1 wife, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So your cousins that you're hailing, and you guys have family reunion, and they are your cousin, you're very, very sure of them that they are your cousin. Your cousin may not actually be your cousin. Because those 2, 3, 4 wives that your great-grandfather and your grandfather married, because they know that by virtue of the fact that your grandfather has more than 1 wife, the 2 wives know that your grandfather is not faithful to them, because by the time a man marries a second wife, he married a second wife out of unfaithfulness to the first wife, because he was already married to 1 wife. Okay, if you are married to 1 wife, you will have to cut another wife now, another woman. You have to prepare to marry the woman. So all that courtship, all that preparing to marry, that is infidelity to your wife, already being unfaithful. And that second wife knows that by the time she's doing what she's doing with you, you are being unfaithful to the first wife. So yeah, it is what it is. So just bear with us. Okay, so we're back. Anyways, so that's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that you don't know everything. Where you found your love right now, where you found acceptance, where you have found your family, that is where you should stay and enjoy life, and have a good life. Okay, we don't know it all. You shouldn't kill yourself. You shouldn't kill anybody because you found out that for so many years what you thought is not. Just remember that you probably have children out there in the world that you do not know by the activities that you were involved in when you were growing up. I'm telling you, you know it. You that's listening to me right now, you know that what I'm saying is the truth. Is the truth. Okay? So that's basically what I want us to talk about today. A lot of you have been calling. Now you can call in and tell me what you think. Should people, what should a man do if he finds out that the child that he's been um, calling a child for so many years, if he finds out that the child is not his own? As a man, what would you do? What would you do? For women, it's not, it doesn't work in the case of a woman, because it's usually the woman who has the child, and the test has to be from the man. Or, well, if you were a woman and you came into a marriage where your husband already has a child, and you discover that the child that your husband has is not really your is not really your husband's child, what are you going to do? Or even if you're a woman and someday you discover that your child that you've had for your 20-year-old son or daughter, you discover that your 20-year-old daughter is not your daughter through DNA test, what will you do? Um, this is looking like a bank. I hope this is someone calling in. Is this? Are you calling in for the program?
I'm calling to speak with Loretta.
Oh, this is the
That's
wrong
Lauren's
number.
number?
This is the wrong number. Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, so the lines are open. You can call +1 647-989-2837. Janet Kitts, I see you. Good afternoon to you. Cheesy Biafra Show, good afternoon to you, or wherever you are. I don't know where you are, but big ups to you. Alan B. Major Street Entertainment TV, big ups to you. Ebubo Kafo, Africa people need more education. All right. Voice of Biafrans, good evening, my dear brother. Good evening, all of you. So what we're dealing with now is paternity test. Somebody killed, almost wiped their family because he discovered that the child that he thought was his was not his. So it's, and these things are happening. A lot of them are happening quietly, and we don't hear about this. And the question is, what should you do? What would you do? Would you divorce your wife when you discover that the child is not yours, and the child is like 15 years, 18 years? What would you do? And this child has called you father all his life. The child believes that you are his father. What are you going to do? That is what we are dealing with right now. I'd like you to call me if you can. Let us deal with this issue. Number to call is +1 647-989. Yeah, +1 647-989-2837. Because this is a big issue right now. A lot of families are being completely destroyed because of something like this, and it is something I want us to look into. Um, for me, honestly, if, because sometimes, let me tell you what happens sometimes. Sometimes, um, a woman, and I'm not condoning unfaithfulness. I am not at all. You know me very well. That's not me. I don't live like that. So how can I condone it? But there are cases where there's been infidelity, and the woman confesses because maybe she was quarreling with the husband, and while she was quarreling with the husband, they had a time when two of them were not together, and the husband must have, maybe they were separated or whatever, or the husband went and dated another chick somewhere, just out of, because they were quarreling. And so the wife is like, okay, if you can do this, me too, I can do it. And the wife goes and she gets into another relationship with another man, just to prove a point. I mean, you've had so many cases where there's a pastor, or there's an elder, or there's a committee, or there's a counselor that's trying to settle a case between a couple, and they're saying, "Oh, two of you were unfaithful to each other. You have to stop it." Okay, two of them will apologize to each other. They will hug, they will make up, they will move back in together if they were not if they had moved out of the house, and they'll continue. They'll do confession. Some of them go back and do rededication of their marriage, re-exchange of vows, and all of that. However, down the road, the result of that brief moment when two of you decided that you are going to show each other, when the result begins to come out, like it's not even like you will know, but the woman takes in, becomes pregnant, and she doesn't even know that it was that one night stand that is responsible for the pregnancy that she has. And the man is so happy. Two of them are happy, loving each other, do a very good family, perfect examples in church. And they continue. They have the baby. Baby is growing up, went to school, did everything, and somehow the man applies for immigration to somewhere like Canada, for instance, and they send him for DNA test, and the DNA test comes back, and he discovers that the baby that he's been calling, oh, princess, my daughter, sweet daughter, this, and all of them have loved this girl equally so much. Both of them discover now that the child, that the father of the child, is not even the husband of the mother. What would you do if you were the man or the woman? It's interesting. I would really love to hear from people what they would do, because this is a major issue right now. Major issue. A lot of people are not going to do this paternity test. They're not going to do this DNA test because there's no reason for them to do it now. But there's been so many cases of people going to do that test and discovering that the children that they thought was their own is not really their own. While we're waiting for people to call, because I know you will call and I want to hear other opinions, just to remind you that 7 p.m. Nigerian time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, like a couple of almost 3.5 hours from now, we're going to be connecting with Chukuma, CEO, and Omoyele Shore. They're going to be having an interview, and we're going to be showing it live here, okay? And we'll have a lot of other lined up interviews for you this week. So make sure that you come back in a couple of hours from now. In fact, you have to click that notification bell so that you know when we come live. Okay, once you click that bell, you will surely know when we come live, because they will inform you. If you are not sure, if you think you click that bell and you're not receiving any notification, please just go back and find that bell and click on it again, just to be sure. All right. Um, so that's the issue we're discussing right now. I really want to know. Even if you don't want to call, you can. I'll read your text if you leave us a text. But this is a major issue. Let me tell you guys one thing. I think sometimes it's where people find themselves and the experiences that they've gone through in life. If you're like me and you're looking for a child, and you ended up with going through the IVF process, what a lot of you still know as test tube babies. You know, when it came out newly, people said it's uh, it's not real. Test tube babies are not real. Who told you? Who told you? You know, people like me, we think me and my wife, we think very futuristic. When you're still trying to know whether or not, we've already gone ahead. There was a time when you couldn't even talk about this kind of procedure in church. We were like, no, 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 no. Those scientific things, they are not godly. That's when we went ahead, and we had idea of doing it, and then that's what really pushed us to plan to move to Canada quickly, because we tried and tried, and it was getting so difficult. We waited 8 years before we could have a child. And so when we had our kids through IVF, at the time, and because of the surgeries that Dr. Erica had gone through, we were told we couldn't, um, she wasn't allowed to go through another pregnancy. And we had a choice. Either they took out Dr. Erica's womb, or they had to do vasectomy on me. So I said, "Oh my goodness, this woman has been through so many surgeries, fibroid, this one, that one." It was one day will tell you that story, because people don't know where you're coming from. We had near death. She had already, at the time, she had passed out. She had just stopped breathing. They had to resuscitate her in the hospital. Over all of this, we've had miscarriages, not one, not twice. Um, but at the end of the day, after we found out that we couldn't let her bear another go through another pregnancy, I had to opt for me to go through the vasectomy. So now they have tied something. Somebody's like, Chidi, keep quiet. Don't say everything. No. If you are near me, if you're in my life, just know that I say everything. I say it the way it is. We don't have a lot of secret. So yeah, that's I was the one that had to go under the knife to make sure that we do what is expected of us. I have a caller on the line. Go ahead, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good evening.
Good.
It's Chidi from Amsterdam.
Oh, my name's Sage. Go ahead.
Uh, yeah, well done, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I've been following you for a while,
Okay.
but I just entered house now. I really
Okay.
don't know what is going on. I just heard you saying something about DNA, and the baby is not the father is not the
The
biological
real
father of
father.
the baby,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
How old is the baby? Sorry, please.
Huh?
How old is the baby?
How old is the baby?
Yes.
No, no, no. What I'm trying to say is generally, if you are a man, okay, and after
Yeah.
maybe about 10, 15 years or so, there was reason for you guys to do DNA tests, and you found out that the child that you and your wife love so much, you are not even responsible for the child. What would you do?
It's a very difficult situation,
Mm-hmm.
but in this case, I think the mother,
Mm.
she knows.
No, the mother doesn't even know that she. Okay, let me give you another scenario. Of course, there are thousand
Okay,
and one cases, but
of
just for the
course.
case of for the sake of my question, um,
Mm,
maybe before you guys got married, or even while you were married, something happened. You quarreled, and okay, within that period, maybe you guys separated, or something happened, and you both came
yeah.
back. They fixed the marriage for you guys. You apologized to each other. You continued. But that period, that mistake for which you guys quarreled, maybe the lady slept with another man. She's sorry and everything. She didn't even know. But you guys
Mm,
continued with your life. She took in, you're happy, you're celebrating it, not knowing that the baby is not even your baby. And she doesn't even know. And remember, they've already settled the case. Life is going on. You people are living a good life. You're faithful to each other. But still, the result of that one time that two of you quarreled, and she slept with somebody, or even you, the man, during that period was the one that went and slept outside. You continue with your life, only to find out down the road that somebody did paternity test somewhere, and the test shows that you are the the child. That is the kind of case that we're looking at.
Well, to me, the only thing,
And
there is that.
remember, somebody killed the wife and killed himself when he discovered that the
No, no,
child was
no,
not his
no.
own.
God
So that's why
forbid.
we are
God
talking.
forbid. God forbid.
It happened in
To my
Lagos.
own
It happened in
understanding,
Nigeria. Yeah.
yeah, to my own understanding and the way I see life, the best thing, though we love the child, and now we know that I am not the father,
Mm-hmm.
the best thing to do is to look for the father.
Okay.
I will ask my wife to look for the father. Who is the father?
Okay.
Find out the
what if
father.
what if your wife got angry that time and just went to the club, and just this was maybe before, maybe like a
Mm,
month. You know how it is. A month before the marriage, something happened. She found a letter belonging to another girl, and she said, "No, I'm not doing again. I'm not marrying. You deceived me." She got angry. She went to the club with her friends. She drank, or she went to a party and just slept with somebody that she didn't even think. By the time she opened her eyes in the morning, she was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" So she doesn't even
yeah,
know who the father is.
mm, yeah, I'm going somewhere. There are
Okay.
two things. If she doesn't know who the father is, it's a different case.
Mm.
If she knows, it's a different case.
Okay.
Whereby she didn't know, it's okay. For the sake of the child, for her future,
Mm-hmm.
I will take care of the child. There's no problem.
Good.
But if she can be able to find the father,
Mm.
make it known to the father, I will still take care of the child
Yeah.
because the love is there.
Yes.
The child knows you as the father.
Yes.
Full stop. So I am ready to take care of the child
Okay.
until after school she can now decide
Good. I
if
like.
she wants to go to the new father. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Since I've been staying with the mother and we don't have problem, we have resolved everything.
Yes.
There's no problem.
All right.
There's no point fighting or killing the woman or something. No, I'm not for that.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my brother.
Okay. Yeah. The somebody sent a text on the chat room, and the person is saying that that I can. It says, my brother, you will never get the answer because everybody will give you answer based on his temperament. Yeah, that is what I want to hear. I want to hear your answer based on your temperament. Now, remember that people also adopt a child. That's why I say people should be careful about the way they treat this life. That sometimes the decision we take is out of pride, out of the fact that we think that we are special, we think that we are better than other people. What about somebody who adopts a child? That child doesn't even belong. A couple that adopts a child, you don't need DNA tests. The man knows it's not his child. The woman knows it's not her child, but they love this child. And I'm saying that some of us listening right now are people who were adopted, who don't even know their mother and their father. So while one couple is breaking their head and tearing themselves apart and killing because they discovered that somebody, a child that they took care of for 5, 6, 7 years, is not their child, there are other people, other couple who are living with their child that they know does not belong to them. The child doesn't even know who the parents are because the child was abandoned somewhere and they picked him up and they put him in an orphanage. Have you thought about that? Who is the child going to claim is their parent? Or do you think the child should not have a better life, equal opportunities like the child who knows the father and their mother? So the story I was telling you about us when we discovered that we couldn't we couldn't go ahead to have babies. We had eggs that were already fertilized with the with the lab where we did the IVF. Because what they do is they fertilize the eggs and then they use some of them, and then some of the eggs they don't use them. Now you need to come up with the option of what happens with the frozen embryos. I know a lot of people are wondering what is he talking about. Yes, very interesting science there. So the frozen embryos, they reach out to you for what you want them to do with it, and we opted that the embryos be donated to couples who are looking for a child. That is us. That is who we are. So if these embryos end up with a couple and is the answer to their quest for a baby, I and my wife, we feel so blessed. We feel so honored that God will use us to be an answer to somebody. Now that child, you see how complicated it starts to get. That child makes the couple very happy. Is their child, is their child. Do you see that? May not have their DNA, but it is their child. Someone says adoption is a different thing. Both parties agree to do so entirely. Okay. Hoy. So tell me, what is your own answer? What will you do if you are the person in the case and you found out after a couple of years that the child whom you have assumed that you are responsible, you are the father, is not really your child? You are not the father. What would you do? Hoy on the chat room and Prince Will CI, what would you people do? That's what I want to know. If you want to call in, you can call in, but you can tell me, what would you do? Would you end the marriage? Would you feel so hot and disappointed that it will lead you to the point of committing murder? What would you do? Would you just accept the child and say, you know what, once there is love, I'm going to continue? Would you look at what becomes the life of this your daughter? Would you consider what is it that becomes of her, and because of that stay with the mother and make things up? Would you just forgive the mother and get on with life for the sake of the child? What would you do? Or would you just walk out of the marriage and you don't care what happens to your child because you have been lied to, because you were deceived? What would you do? It's important. The reason why it is important that we speak up, the reason why it's important that we give our suggestions, is because people are listening and people are dealing with these issues even as we speak. Go ahead, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good morning, Dr. Chibi.
Morning.
Northwest Indiana.
Go ahead, Olisebuka. Thank you so much for calling in.
So,
Yeah.
this is something.
Whoa, we lost Olisebuka. I don't know what happened. His phone just went off. Maybe his battery died. I'm hoping he'll call back. Olisa is very frequent on our show. He's a regular listener. Okay, I think he's calling back. Yeah, we lost you there, Olisa.
Hello? Yeah, I don't know what happened. I lost the call.
No problem.
So this is something I've thought through very well. You get, I've thought through it a lot of times, and I've discussed it. It's even something that I've made sure I discuss with all my girlfriends in the past. I've been in 3 relationships, and then my current girlfriend, my fourth girlfriend, I've even spoken with her about it.
Yeah.
And I'm someone that has had a child. I have an infant son that is 1 year old.
Okay.
I've had a child from, out of wedlock, which was in my third relationship. It was my recent relationship that was lasted for about a year when I traveled to the US, as a student. So, and these things are serious issues, but for me, it's not as bad. If you realize you are a human being, if you realize your girlfriend or your wife or your partner, significant other is a human being and they are susceptible to error at any time, you get what I mean? It's something that you should simply take with, just be rational and be reasonable about it. Like in my own case now, there was no doubt, there was no issue, but Nigerian parents and all, we insisted we would do DNA test for the boy.
Mm.
And we did it, and it was my son. I wasn't, the lady when that came up, when my parents brought that up and said, I wasn't offended. You get, I was like, and I told her, I explained, I said, please don't be annoyed. Since we know, I trust you 100%, so I'm not going to be surprised about the result. Let's go ahead and do it. But for the fact that we could do that test, I'd already made up my mind that, okay, if since the relationship was already not working out, we're already breaking up, we're already not agreeing, and we couldn't continue the relationship. If the child is not mine, nothing spoiled, I will just move ahead. If really his father is not there and there is nobody to care, I'll make effort, I'll just try to care. But if the child is mine, I will go ahead. So now, that is in case of it's just a girlfriend relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, that you can easily break up or something.
Yeah.
Now, if you were engaged, or if I was engaged or I was married, the truth is that the way I see life, and I'm saying it from my own perspective and from the way I really see things deep in my spirit, the person I really have an agreement with, the person I have a tie to is my woman, my wife. And if the child is not mine, my only issue, my only problem will be, the only things I'll need to take care of is, in terms of cheating, is she, am I taking care of her? Am I sure she's not going out again? Am I protecting her enough so that she doesn't fall into wrong hands? Then in terms of the child, do we know the child's real father? In case of medical situations or anything, can we find out who the father is? Let's know the exact person, just in case, so that we can know. And in case of later, DNA test, DNA could be, what do they call it? It could be identity for so many things, immigration in the US, Canada, and stuff like that. In case of stuff like that, do we know for sure who is who? Just for information's sake, and then also for the child, let the child just have access to truth that they will use if they need to go later. It's something that once the child has sense, and this is not even a matter of, it's not something I'm supposed to wait. For me, I don't believe in waiting too long. Once the child can start talking to me, once the child can start having reasonable conversations, in fact, once I realize that the child, because my aim is to be close enough to my children, once I realize that they are matured enough to start to talk about sex, at that point, I'll let them know about it. That's the right time for them to know about it, because it does not stop them. It's good for them to know, so that they will at least have an idea. They will know, yes, I'm not a biological father, and then they will know to love their father. They will know to respect their father. They will know they have a father outside and stuff like that. But if the father is not coming to fight me or coming to make trouble for their children, then the child stays with me. The child is in my house, and as long as our relationship did not break apart, as long as we are still living together in that house, then I consider all her children mine, no matter who their father is. I
All
consider
right.
all of them mine. So
Thank you
that's
so
just
much.
the way I see it. And I believe that up to 25% or more of men, probably up to 40% of men, probably see it like that, not just among Nigerians, but across the world. It's just that you might never hear those stories. They exist
Yeah.
very well.
Thank you so much,
So
Olusebuka.
that's it.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for supporting us and always calling to make your own contribution. Now, someone on the chat room, Sihoy, says cheating in marriage is a damaging thing to the family. Period. Evil is evil. Marriage is an honorable institution from God Almighty, and as such, the bed should be honored. Okay, I agree with you, Hoy. Just like sinning is evil, total, and the laws of Moses says if you kill, you should be killed. If you are found stealing, you should cut off your hand, and so many things. So I'm wondering, Hoy, who is bringing in, religion into the thing, is I don't know whether in your religion there's something like forgiveness, and so we are talking about a situation where there's been an issue, forgiveness. Somebody has pleaded for forgiveness. Somebody has repented and all that. Because if there is repentance, if we agree that there's repentance and forgiveness, what are we repenting from? Are we not repenting from a crime that we committed? Okay, crime is crime, evil is evil. So I stole and I confess that I stole and I get forgiven. That one is a sin. That one is a crime. Forgiveness counts there. Okay, so I slept with somebody, prostitutes, outside my marriage, and I came, confessed, asked for forgiveness. Should I be forgiven, or is that now a different sin? Are there some sins that can be forgiven and some that cannot be forgiven? You know what I mean? Like, let's us talk about it. Hoy, I wish you could call in so that we can understand what is going on here. Remember that woman that they were going to stone, since we're talking about religion? That woman was caught in adultery. It's not that the woman was going to, it's not that the woman did before. She was caught in the act of adultery. If you don't understand what adultery means that the woman was caught sleeping with somebody that is not her husband, or sleeping with another person's husband. That is what adultery means. That's the woman that they were going to stone in the Bible. And when Jesus Christ was there, Jesus Christ obviously knows the law more than you and me and Mr. or Miss, I don't know what your gender, Hoy, on the chat room. But Jesus Christ looked at the woman and he didn't do anything. He was not excited. He was not impressed by all the shouting and everything. And they wanted to know what he would do. And Jesus was just busy scribbling on the ground. And there was silence because they wanted to trap him. Hey, we are doing exactly what the laws of Moses has commanded us to do. Abraham and all our forefathers, all of them, are bound by these laws. These are Abrahamic laws. What would you do? Because you say you didn't come to abolish the law. So Jesus Christ said, if any of you has not, if any of you is without sin, not if any of you has not done what she did, but if any of you is without sin. So what is Jesus Christ trying to say? Jesus Christ is not telling them, if any of you has not committed adultery. But what he says is that, so I'm trying to talk to Hoy, sin is sin. Jesus said, if you have committed any sin, your sin is equivalent to this sin of adultery this woman has committed. So before you throw a stone at her, make sure that you are totally without sin. So if any of you is without sin, please cast the first stone. And one by one, all of them dropped their stones and they walked away. And the woman was scared. And Jesus Christ said, well, where are your people who are condemning you? The woman said, all of them don't disappear, sir. Me, self, I can't condemn you too. Go and sin no more. So Jesus Christ, who is the big teacher, who knows about sin is sin, because you remember you said marriage is damage, blah blah blah. Same thing. I agree with that. I'm faithful to my wife. I'm not that kind of person. And yes, I can brag about it. I don't cheat. I've never cheated on my wife since we got married, and I don't plan to tomorrow. But that doesn't make me a saint either. So what am I trying to say is that even with all of that, look at Jesus Christ himself that we follow as Christians or any other religion, and see what the masters in this religion, how they dealt with sin. So in a case where the sin has been committed, confessions have been made, people have pleaded for mercy, and forgiveness has been forgiveness has been has been offered. What would you do when down the road the result of that sin which has already been forgiven and forgotten is a baby who was conceived out of that sin that is already forgiven? What would you do? This is a happily married couple. In fact, they went ahead to have other children. This is just one child. This is the first child, and you had 3 more children. What would you do? And all of you have lived happily in that family. What would you do? Prince Will says, take the child if you can. Divorce the lady if you can't bear the pain. Don't allow anyone to make you a killer. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you totally. So yeah, it will be interesting. But even if you don't call in, even if you don't leave any text, I hope that this discussion makes you understand that if before you had only a small room, if the allowance you made for people in your life, your spouse, your business partner, your brothers, your sisters, your colleagues, if you had only small room for people, I hope this discussion makes you realize that you need to have a wider, you need to make more room for people. You need to have a larger heart. Because if you don't, so many things will hit you in life and it will destabilize you. You see, people like me, what we do is we go ahead of ourselves and prepare ourselves for what will happen down the road. So we create scenarios that are not there right now, and we tell ourselves, hey, down the road, if this thing happens, what will I do? How will I react? So that's why we were able to contend with these things when it happened. Go ahead, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Kurt from Netherlands.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you for calling.
Okay. I'm calling anyway. Good evening.
Okay.
About the topic. The topic is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even Nigeria government, they are not paying attention about it.
Mm.
It's really, really a lot of domestic abuse in this situation of issuing people who got pregnant. It happened in my family, in my house,
Wow.
in Lagos, with my senior brother. I have a senior brother with 2 daughters. Their mother died at the age of 1 was 7, the senior one, 2 girls. Then the second one was 5.
Can you turn the other place that we are playing in the background? Can you turn the volume down?
Okay. I should turn the volume down.
The volume of the other one where I'm talking.
Is it okay now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. And now got, then we continue taking care, supporting my senior brother. Then the children went to university. The last one finished. That one married 2 years ago, which is we are very happy. Then the senior one, he just finished university. Then he was living with my senior brother in the house. This girl got pregnant. With got pregnant then with a person that doesn't know that he's married outside. It's really, really challenging.
Mm.
And the guy didn't tell her that he's married. Then I asked my little cousin, how did you manage to cope? Where did you meet him? In Lagos, they live in Lagos. Then he said he met the guy in the church, and somebody introduced him to her, and she doesn't know that the guy is married. And he's coming to a friend's house to have sex with her. And so she doesn't know that the guy is not the owner of the house. So my brother daughter got pregnant. Then he asked her to go and remove the pregnancy. Then she tried, I have to be honest, that's what she told me, but I was not aware of everything. Then before she now opened up, then they couldn't be able to remove the pregnancy. Then, fine. Then finally she got a baby girl. Even at now, it's not in my brother's house. So they find it difficult to open up to me because I was planning for her to apply for master's degree in Netherlands or anywhere for scholarship, try to help her for school because she's very intelligent, you know. So I was also down about the case. I was very, very down. But finally, there is nothing you can do. Then he's now in my brother's house. That particular guy is hiding somewhere, you know. But according to my sister, my brother's daughter, he said the guy used to come once in a while, bring 5,000 naira, blah, blah, blah. So that burden is on my brother, you know. So I decided to let it go and forgive her because I was really, really having pain. I said, child is a blessing. There is nothing someone can do. I now talk to her that it's not going to be the end of the life. I will see what I can still do. We can move on. So it's really, really a challenge because government is not paying attention. You know, a lot of men, they will abandon their child. I have also one in Canada. He traveled. I was planning I'm going to call you separately, maybe to send a picture or also to talk about it. Maybe he will come in out. It's an Igbo guy. I'm from Delta. I'm from Okale. Then they met each other. It's our second to the last born. They have a baby. Even that baby now, a baby gets 8 years, Dr. Chidi. Then do you know that they met each other in Gambia, staying with my sister. She got pregnant also. Then I tried to help us. Okay. The guy said he wanted to travel also. Then I decided to support because of my sister's sake and the baby. Going to 6 years, we don't hear from this guy anymore. And he traveled, he said he's traveling to Canada. Till now, no contact, nothing. You know, so I'm the one taking care of that baby also. You
Wow.
know, so it's really, really a challenge.
I know.
They are not
I
paying
know.
attention with it. They go away and abandon their children for women, all those kind of tough things. You know, so if you don't have any help, this kind of situation that happen will happen. I always pay attention to my brother, my sisters, too much. Whether their man is nice or not, I pay attention. I do.
God,
You know?
God will bless you so much. Please,
And
call me after this and let us talk. I mean,
yes.
yeah,
Thank you so
let's
much.
talk about it
I
after.
appreciate you and your wife. And you two are really doing great because all those things are the ones they are supposed to pay attention to. I
Yeah.
don't watch media, but it's only your program I follow up. Number
Thank
one,
you.
because of Shugore. And yeah, you two are fighting for the goodness of Nigeria.
Thank you so
So
much.
I love it.
Thank
I
you
don't
very,
follow
very much.
media, blah, 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 where our country is upside down there.
Yes,
You know?
yes. Thank you
I
very,
know.
very much. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
very,
really
very
bless.
much.
I'll call you again. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, she's telling you the truth. You see, unless, some people just talk about these things because they have not experienced it. When you hear somebody who has experienced this thing, you will understand what we are talking about. The fact is, the thing, it doesn't come out, exactly how you expect it to come out. There's no perfect situation. Look at this woman. Somebody like her, she cares about her family. She cares about her brothers' children. She's always looking out for the girls. And before they can open up to her the way they open up to her, you can tell that it's because of the role she has played in their lives growing up. So they've come to trust her. So, you see, I can understand when people just, when they talk, they just talk straight. Say, no, me, I don't agree. If this thing happen, let it just happen. Be very, very careful. Very careful what you say. Very careful what you say you cannot tolerate. Because that's the same thing that God will use to test you. I'm telling you the truth. That thing you're saying, if it is me, I cannot. God will bring that thing your way to see what you will do. So better prepare for that same thing that you think, oh, it is me. If it is me, I will do this or I will do that. Christopher Nadede says, 34 years ago, my wife and I agreed that we would have two children. I asked her, so what if you become pregnant after and there's a third? Oh, you didn't finish. Go ahead, Christopher Nadede. You need to finish this your talk. We're interested to know what the rest of the thing is. So, Christopher, please write more. Osage Doris, nice column. Janet Keke, wow, God is great. Children is a blessing. Honestly, you have to have experienced certain things to really know how to respond or how to react with these things. But just know it. Just know it that you need to be careful about what you think you can or cannot do. If you are in a relationship, all you can just say is, God give me the grace. Let me just teach you now. Just pray for the grace of God. It's only God's grace that I need God's grace. Don't get me wrong. I am not saying that I already know what to do if a man goes if a man comes into my house and God forbid I catch a man in my house. I'm not saying I know what I will do. No, I'm not sure. I'm just asking for God's grace. And you already know that all laws in the Bible and everywhere allows you. That's the one time that the Bible is not arguing with you to kill, that you kill somebody that you found abusing your wife. I'm telling you, all the laws of the land, the way they will call it what is it, a crime of passion. Mercy Ade said, Dr. Chidi, this matter hard. I'm telling, very, very hard, very, very hard. You know, when we got married newly, we were like, when you become born again, we were like this. We held on to married vows. We were like, two of us, me and my wife. Me and my wife are very passionate. So when we get into anything, we get into it hard. That's how we are with each other. But as you're growing up, and when anybody asks us for advice, we just say, because we will hear people, they will say, Shebi, pastor told us not to be doing that, and after they settled the thing for us, and you are still doing it, even after. And I'm saying, me and my wife will say, still doing what? This thing where they are saying that you're still doing. They are talking about you're still sleeping with a woman outside and coming back to sleep with your wife. What craziness. But man, as crazy as it sounds, you will see those couples fix their marriage and continue with life. I am telling you, you will see the same couple that the wife came crying about the husband and told you all crazy stuff about the husband and what the husband was doing, and they'll be fighting. Tomorrow, you will see that husband and wife loving each other like crazy. In fact, they will start a marriage seminar, become deacons in church. That is what God can do. I don't understand it. It's crazy. I can't wrap it around my head. So the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know, and the more you need to know. Sounds complicated, right? The more you know that you don't know, and the more you seek to know. So you have to be very careful. The question we're asking is, if you find out after a while, after being in a relationship, after being in a marriage, and loving a child, a boy or a girl, for a long time, and for some reason, like maybe you have to do an immigration thing, fill some immigration documents or some important document, and they ask you for paternity test, and only that you discover that the child you've always thought you were the father is not your father. What would you do? Would you send the woman packing? Would you keep the child? Would you walk away from the marriage or the relationship? What are you going to do? That is what we want to hear from people. Don't think that if you some of you are afraid to call because you think your wife will go and play the video and say, let me hear what Chidi said. Let me hear what let me oh Peter, you called Chidi's program. So this is what you are thinking. Ah, it's good. It's good for the wind to blow so that we can see the something of the chicken. So this is how you've been thinking. Is it? Shut up. Are you not the one that called into this program and said this and said that? That's why some of you don't want to call. You can call and say that you heard that somebody, that your friend told you this is what they would think. You can say that too. I'm just kidding. Please call and let us know how you feel, or leave us a text on the chat room. Somebody said, okay, this Naded is continuing with his story. He said, and said we give him or her up for adoption. Unfortunately, there come child number 3. This Christopher Nadede, this your story is very, very interesting. For the benefit of the people who didn't see you start the story, let me go and read the story. So Christopher Nadede says, 34 years ago, my wife and I agreed that we would have 2 children. I asked her, so what if you become pregnant later and there's a 3rd child? Now he continues down and I said, and they said, both of them, him and the wife said, we'll give him or her up for adoption. Unfortunately, there came child number 3, a boy. He said, I complied and we put him up for adoption. It's been 22 years. This boy became a basketball star in NBA. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. My wife is seriously demanding that we go notify this big boy that he really is our son. Oh my God. Christopher, you need to call in. You need to call in. Let's talk about this thing. You see, these discussions, they help a lot of people. They help a lot of people. So Christopher Nadede, please call, let us talk. It will really help us if you can call. Oman Cletus says, Dr. Chidi, what advice do you think about a scenario whereby a grown adult is not really sure whom his father is, but 2 men are claiming to be the father? Simple. Go and do a DNA test. In fact, you're wasting time. In this day and age, it is so easy. Go and do a DNA test. Honestly, you can do it secretly. If you're close to them, you can find a way of getting their saliva on something. You can find you can buy them pop and let them use the straw, and make sure you collect the straw and take it to the lab. There's so many things that you can do, or just confront them and say you would want a DNA test. Okay? Or you can do the DNA test secretly and then confront them with the results, and if they deny it, they should do a DNA test with you. That's what you should do. That is my candid advice. But then, when you have found out, of course, it's good. I mean, you should look for your roots. You should find out. But what you do with that information is up to you. What you do with that information after you found out is up to you. That is the advice, and that's what I'm telling people. Please don't misunderstand me. I am not saying that doing a DNA test is bad. I am not saying that one shouldn't seek to know who is their father or their mother. But what I'm saying is, what do you do when you find out? Newi Otibu said, well, Chidi, when you bound with the child, when you build bond with the child, it will be very hard to just forget about the child. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying. But the guy that went and killed the woman because he discovered that the child is not his, that is what we're asking. Um, should we allow ourselves to be cornered into doing that kind of a thing? Is that the responsible thing to do? That's why we're having this discussion. We're having this discussion because we want to remind ourselves that the fact that you discover down the road that somebody that you've loved, that's just to tell you, love is not only possible when someone is your biological relationship. No, love is where you find it. People don't understand that a parent loves an adopted child 100% like they love their own biological child. It is possible. How do I know it is possible? Because you love that child. Just think about how parents loved the child before they discovered that that child was not their child. Did you love them? Was there something in your love that told you that child was not yours? Confess now. No, you didn't know. You loved them equally. You bought everything they demanded. You defended them. You fought their school teacher for failing them in a course. You harassed the child that pushed pushed them down where they were playing. So please call and let us know what you feel about this topic. Go
Hello?
ahead, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Olusebuka, quick contribution from this, that came up. So, very important in this discussion. What we should go, if we don't go home with anything today, we should go home with what you said, those major stuff that you need to open your mind in this life to be able to expect anything, and that you need to ask for the grace of God.
Yes.
Because we don't know how we'll ever respond. But
Yes.
the good thing is that, for instance, now having such a conversation has opened many of our minds to possibilities of anything that could happen, and helping prepare our minds to respond like a reasonable human being, like a rational person, and respond like a child of God. But for this particular case, this one of these paternity DNA thing, I would recommend that everybody that can hear this, for everybody who is in this discussion, for those who are not, especially those who are not open-minded, please go and watch Paternity Court. This is real court cases in the US, real live court cases of crazy stuff that happen with women, with paternity, what do they call it? Doubt.
Yeah.
If you go and watch Paternity Court, they will see things that happen. You will hear things that happen for this life. When you watch Paternity Court, and you look at, in many of those cases, those women are people who have become responsible over time. People who have regretted bad mistakes, regretted a negative lifestyle they've been living and all that, but the paternity doubt is still there, and they are actually going to court for that matter.
Yes.
With DNA results. So let people watch, let them go and look for paternity court. It's online. It's on Facebook or YouTube. Let them just watch a few episodes so they will see that it's not a joke, that this thing actually happens for real.
Yeah.
So you're not saying God will help us. We don't hope it happens for anybody, but it's not impossible.
Yeah,
so
thank
open
you.
your mind.
Thank you
Be
so
ready
much.
to forgive.
Yeah, thank you so
That's
much.
the cocoa.
Yeah, very good one there, Olusebuka. You see, just like, for those of, some of us are more spiritual. Some of us don't like when we talk like this. They want you to just remain spiritual. They want you to be hard. Brother Chidi, why are you diluting the gospel? When somebody is unfaithful, they're unfaithful. They make mistake, should suffer. The wages of sin is death. But even Jesus Christ himself was conceived outside wedlock. The only difference is that it was the Holy Spirit. But Joseph had a chance to get angry and say, Mary, I can't believe, which kind of Holy Spirit are you talking about? I can't believe you did this. Me, I not do again. No, you and your Holy Spirit continue. Let the Holy Spirit marry you. No, I'm not me. I know myself. They didn't even need to do DNA tests for Jesus Christ's case. Joseph was not the father of Jesus Christ. But look at how Joseph treated Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ went ahead to become the greatest thing that has happened in history to humanity. Talking about our brother's case, because he said he wouldn't even mind for it to be discussed. Yeah, so I'm talking about Nnadede. Nnadede brought up this story. Christopher Nnadede brought up this story about him and the wife who they agreed 34 years ago that they won't have a third child. And he asked the wife, what if a child, that's my kind of man. You always have to, people like to look at life from only one side. You telling them about the other side that is very uncomfortable. No, I don't want to talk about it. Don't tell me that. It's not my portion. It's not my portion. I reject it. There is no amount of rejecting that. Oh my God. Excuse me. It's very, very funny when you tell people something. I said, you tell people, you will die one day. So, Chidi, don't talk about death. Death is not my portion. That is not your portion. That is the number one portion, the number one people like this man, they always think about the future. What about if this happened? What about if this happens? This is possible. That is possible. I like people who think that way. And so he told the wife, what if pregnancy happens and there's a third child? What are we going to do? And the wife says, we'll put him up for adoption. I would want to know, if you don't mind, Nadede, where your wife is from. Is your wife Nigerian? Is your wife Caucasian? Is your wife Biafran? Is your wife from where? We would want to know. Or you can just generalize it. Even if it's your wife African or where, it might help us to understand. But after giving up the child for adoption, this child has gone to become a big time NBA star. The guy is making millions now. And Nadede's wife is saying that they should go and notify the parents of this child, or notify the child himself that, hey, we are your parents, so what will you do if you were the person? IJ's Corner, big ups to you. It says, gather all our children who also divorce his own life. IJ's Corner, let me read your submission. I know one that the woman was with her husband, but having kids for another married man who didn't have any child with his own wife. When the bubble burst, the lady divorced the husband and married the thing, gathered over all of her children, who also divorced his own wife. So do you see? To me, I should say, not happened at the first instance. This happened here in Nigeria. The bubble burst like 6 years ago. Child, I'm telling you, the truth everywhere in the world today is happening to today. The same guy is laughing to me that I say it's your wife Biafra. Yes, so we are all inclusive in this platform. So whatever you believe in, please contribute. Don't go and kill me because I said Nigerian. Please, if you're Biafran, let us respect you, and you can talk as Biafran, you can talk as Oduduwa, you can talk as Nigerian, you can talk as anybody. on this platform, everybody's allowed. Please. So I need to hear us talk about this thing. We're going to be ending very soon. But the whole discussion is helping us to understand what we're trying to do is we're trying to stretch you a little bit. We're trying to stretch you a little bit. We're trying to take you out of your comfort zone to deal with issues that are hard. These are the kind of issues I used to deal with my wife. There's a lot of videos. If you go to our playlist and you see things we talked about relationship, about couples and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. But these things, if you don't engage in them, if you run away from dealing with them, bros, my sis, one day you will have to deal with these things directly or indirectly. So when we're talking about this kind of thing, please get involved, make your contribution. Honestly speaking, a lot of you have gone through so much. You're watching this video right now and you're a single parent. You know what you went through. You know people that did things to you. You know people that abandoned you. You know some truths. You're even in a marriage right now, and there are some secrets that no, even if they put a knife to your neck, you will never reveal that secret, even to your husband right now. You're a husband. You are in a relationship. You are married. But you know that you have a child somewhere outside wedlock. You know that because of that child, you've taken an extra online work or something, another job, that the money from that job goes into somewhere. Your wife doesn't know. And from that account, you've been supporting this child you have somewhere. And this secret has been going on and on. These are some very, very tough things that you're dealing with. But can I tell you something? The sooner you confront those things, the better it is for you. I will never forget my pastor, Pastor Sarah Omaku. And I will never forget Family Worship Center in Abuja. You know, the process of premarital counseling that you go through before you get married, it prepares you for so much. Honestly, if you go through premarital counseling in a family worship center and you don't fight with your boyfriend, girlfriend, with your fiancé, then you know you've not told yourself the truth. Just like the proverb. Let me wear my chief cap now. You know, the talk say, if brothers or even sisters, family, enter a room in the morning, early morning, to discuss family matter, serious family matter, if they come out of that room smiling, they have not told themselves the truth. Because if you bring out, you know those kind heavy issue, family issue, if you bring it out, they are usually heavy to absorb and digest. You need to walk out of that room and go and think about it. It's down the road when the effect has worn out. That's when you see people smiling. So when you go through premarital counseling, they make you talk things. They make you reveal things about each other. By the time you go through the manual, some questions that I answered, by the time my wife saw it and the questions that she answered, we quarreled. Oh, so this, oh, so that, and that. But after that quarrel, you get to know it. They even ask you to list the names of people that you had relationships with. I'm telling you. So that gives you an opportunity to purge each other. That gives you an opportunity to tell yourself secrets so that when you go into the marriage, you know that you are going into it on a clean slate. I think everybody should, even they have post marital counseling, that people who didn't have the privilege of going through that process and they got married, make sure that you go through that process. In fact, there's a book I recommend for you. It's called Before You Say I Do. Even if you're already married, please go and look for that book. before you say I do. That was that was the manual that we use. Look for the book. Before you say I do. Very, very good book. It will show you the mistakes that you made while you're having the issues you're having right now in your marriage. Let me read more of the text. It says you're making sense. That's why I love you, my brother. Thank you, Newi. Um, Messiade, 2 years ago, my friend told us that she found that her parents were not her biological parents. You see, we've been looking at it from the side of the father and the mother. How about the child? How about you when you now discover that your parents are not your parents? What would you do? See, this thing can continue to grow big and big and big. And everybody would have something they can say. See, there are so many instances where you will even begin to doubt. How about you are sure that your parents are your parents? You are sure that you are the child of your father and your mother. How about if you now discover that your mother or your father is not actually the father, is not actually the child of your grandfather or your grandmother? Do you know what that means? That means automatically you're not even an indigene of your town that you have been claiming since. You are a claimant. You're a claimant. Because right now, your grandfather is dead, your grandmother is dead, but guess what? You discovered that through DNA that you are supposed to come from Enugu, and you've been claiming that you are from Anambra. So you thought you are Enugu, but meanwhile you are Wawa man. Can you imagine? See, you thought that you're from your family. You claiming your village, claiming everything. In fact, claiming that you're not even Nigeria, only to do DNA test and discover that you're from Abeokuta. That means what will you now become a Janjaweed? Will you go back? Or you're there saying that the northern people are, you don't want and then we trace back and we discover that during the war something happened with a Nigerian soldier that time. So when you hear stories that the soldiers came and they were sleeping with our women, some of the women actually ran away with the soldiers, not because the soldiers forced them, because the soldiers will stay out in the war field for a month, 2 months, 3 months. If you're a man and you are active, you know what that means. I don't want to continue there, but a man staying 2, 3, 4, 5 months, it is a very, very egregious situation to be in. So just soldiers had interactions, let's put it that way, interactions with people. So now you're claiming that you are from where you think you are, only to discover that your lineage branched off somewhere, and we can go and trace it back to somewhere in Yola. So are you now a Janjaweed? It's funny, but it's not funny. And some of you, your mothers know what happened. They never told you. So now, if you now know, what will you do? Would you go back to that place? Will you now change your name and become Abdurrahim Razak? What will you do? Will you now... Do you understand what I'm saying? It's so complicated. It is so complicated. That's why you have to say, Chidi, I sent you my story thinking that you're IPOB. If you're not IPOB, just forget it, because I only need real Biafran input. All hail Biafra. Okay. Christopher Nadede, I don't think I understand what you're saying, but I don't this is my channel is not IPOB. On a serious note, I love my Igbo heritage. I love IPOB. I'm not a member of IPOB. I don't know where you got that impression. You never asked me, so you just can't assume things. Just like Christopher Naded, I don't know who you are, so I cannot just come and just, I don't know. What if I just claim that I thought you were what you are not? So with due respect, I don't know what you mean by thinking that you're IPOB. All right, if you belong, that's my problem with people. If you say you're IPOB and you belong to an IPOB branch in your place, then you cannot be behaving like this. You should know through your leadership what is going on. When you come and talk like this, I don't know what to make of you. Okay. Um the, the anyway I don't even know what to tell you. Okay, I will delete. Everybody rewind. Let's remove everything that that we said about Christopher Nadede. Let's remove the story. Let's rewind it and let it know. Anyways, guys, I think it was very, very important that we had this discussion. It is important too. Let me tell people like Christopher Nadede, it is important that you keep your mind open. Keep your mind open. Don't have a one track way of viewing things. Not everybody in life will agree with you. Not everybody in life will see things the way you see it. Your mission is, if you think your way is correct, if you think your way is right, try to try to inform people about your way. If they accept it, then they accept it. If they reject it, there are millions of other people in life who will see things your way. Work with them. The other people, leave them. They are not evil because they don't agree with you. No. No. I get people call me names. People call me names. People say all kinds of things about me. That is them. That is them. I can't force them. No. My life is like a goldfish. I can't hide. I'm out there. If you Google my name, it's all over the place. People know where to catch me. People know where to get me. They know my number. I have only one number. That's what I use for. If you call my number, if it goes into voice message, you see that that's the same number we use for everything. That is me. But I do not want you to also be like me. I just plead with you to keep your mind open. The excuses, the example I was using about the war is, I'm using it because it's me now. If you know my story, if maybe you're new to me, to my channel, if you know my story, if you know where I'm coming from, you will know who I am and what I believe and what I stand for, and you will know even my Biafra story or my war story, and you will understand that when I make these examples, I don't make them from a derogatory perspective. I just make them from a perspective that makes you understand that things are deeper than you think they are. Things are deeper than you think they are. It's not exactly how you see things that they really are. No. You must see beyond what you're seeing. As you grow in life, as you seek for knowledge, you get to understand that things in life are not exactly what they look like. No, things are not exactly what they look like. Okay, my dear people, it's been a very, very lovely time with you. I learned so much from reading the things that you're posting. It continues to broaden my knowledge. Like I said before, the more you know, the more you realize that you really don't know, and that makes you want to know. Okay, so I appreciate all of you that made contributions here. Newio Tibu, Janet Kids, even our brother Nadede. I promise you I will try, but I don't know how it's going to be, but I'm going to try to delete all the things that I already said, about you and all of those things. We'll delete it. We'll try not to. If you want me to actually delete it from the chat room, I can do you that favor. So Nadede, if you're still there and you want me to delete your post, please just text and tell me to delete your post. However, I think that there is nothing wrong with having your post. We can still be friends, and even if we are not, even if we don't belong to the same association. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. At 2 o'clock, we have something else coming up. That is 2 o'clock Eastern time. It's 11:50 here, so about 2 hours and 10 minutes from now, we're gonna have Omoyele Shore's interview with my brother CEO Ephraim. Is going to come and interview Omoyele Shore. He'll be doing that on his platform, but we're going to be streaming it live from our station here. So please, please, please join us. And tomorrow, like always, we'll be streaming Mazen Namde Kano's broadcast. Okay? So please, thank you so much for your support. Thank you very, very much. All right, all right, all right. I love you guys. Let me go back and close the show. You have to be working from here, there, and there. Okay, so here we go. From all of us in the Toronto studios of Worship Media, on behalf of Dr. Erica, this is me, Dr. Chidi, saying, like always, I love you. Take care of yourself and stay safe. Bye bye.